I thought we'd talk about a transportation company today. It's called Via Rail Canada. Ultimately, they provide passenger rail transportation from coast to coast. I understand that the company is continually seeking to find innovative solutions to enhance its services and address any operational challenges that they might encounter.
It seems like the company is not very consistent with its schedule a lot of times. And that is reflected in pretty low score on Google Play and App Store. Some customers are displeased with delays and stuff like that.
I think given with the amount of travelers that are using their networks daily, they're probably maybe a little bit behind with the infrastructure from an IT perspective, but they probably have been focused mostly on their infrastructure out there in the actual wilderness, where they probably got very intensive maintenance schedules. I think they also might need to improve the way that they do notify their customers if there's a platform change or some mechanical default or anomaly that they need to attend to. And it also leads to the user interface as well.
We've seen this across the board in most transportation companies here in North America. Like if you take any airline and their website and their app, they kind of remind me of the regional banks here in the United States, which are very similar to each other, not very distinctive. And then you realize that their IT departments are probably most likely very shorthanded, maintaining that massive amount of technical debt and technical infrastructure that keeps this engine running, but
Mhm.
not necessarily they have the capacity to modernize it, to make quick turnarounds on certain things that are expected by modern customers. And certainly they're shorthanded or lack the expertise to do some major innovations like AI, for example. Even though I know that they're using AI right now or trying to use it as part of their
The
V-Action
VNact, yeah.
2030 strategic
Mhm.
plan, but I think that emphasis lies on using AI to optimize scheduling and some internal stuff rather than customer facing experience. Because
Mhm.
just by even going to the website, you can already spot those things. Like, for example, when you're creating your itinerary and you're adding that second destination, you don't get any dynamic updates right on that page. You
Mhm.
have to wait until you actually pick the date. And even when you pick the date, nothing's dynamically updated. Then you have to go to the separate page. It's not a very modern, updated user experience. I'm pretty sure that if things like those are discovered within 5 seconds, there are a lot of things that could be discovered with a proper analysis. Our strength, our expertise lies in customer experience, AI, and data analytics. And it's mostly the customer facing applications. We obviously have nothing to offer to this company in terms of how to optimize their actual hardware infrastructure or how to run their business. We know nothing about that. But we know
Mhm.
everything about customer experience and customer journey and customer adoption through technology and how to increase retention of customers, how to attract younger people, how to make their experience with the company a lot more modern and long term. So that's what we want to focus on. And it feels like this company, they're in a good stage, but it's already not the stage that most 15 to 20-year-olds are going to be expecting from a company like that. Companies today have to think in terms of Generation Z and Generation Alpha. Like the oldest Alpha today is 14. It means that
Mhm.
whatever plans you have, like 2030, right? So in 5 years, that person will be 19.
Yeah.
So there are very, very distinct differences how generations react and how they interact with technology, meaning that even Gen Z, like a niece of mine, she's 15 and she doesn't even have a laptop. She doesn't even know how to open and how to use it, right? It's just the mobile phone.
Yeah.
So whatever plans and strategic changes companies make today, they have to account for the experience difference that will happen in 5 to 10 years. Like websites disappearing eventually, like in 10 years, being replaced by AI assistants. So stuff like that.
Mm.
And I'm not sure what's part of this Action 2030 plan, but I would really love to know what it
Yeah.
is. apart from the infrastructure.
Yeah, 100%. You literally took the words right out of my mouth there when we're talking about a younger generation that's coming up through now. I mean, we're in that phase where your customers are getting younger and younger all the time, and you want to be future proofing now. You want to be modernizing now. Going back to the whole scheduling thing, passenger dissatisfaction due to delays and lack of timely updates or not being able to book itinerary in a matter of a couple of minutes, it's going to deter a lot of younger customers. And I think that it needs to be at the forefront of their mind, especially when they're looking into the V Action 2030 initiative that they're putting together. Because again, like you say, your niece doesn't even have a laptop. Everything is on mobile device now.
What we're seeing right now is a trajectory of fully personalized internet. All the young people who will become the actual customers in a couple of years, they will expect certain things based on the technologies that they're using daily, personalized, intuitive, and all that stuff. So those experiences will be expected. On the other hand, obviously, we can't do anything about solving their delay issue if it's a hardware issue, like it was a snowstorm or whatever. But we see from the comments that people lack that up-to-date information, right? They lack flexibility from the company. And that's what we can master and can help them with by using our AI expertise and making their experience today already personalized and flexible. Basically, an AI assistant by VRL that is not reactive, an actionable, proactive AI assistant that will be tracking all those changes for the customer and just telling the customer, hey, like for Mission Impossible, Ethan Hunt, turn left, turn right, run 100 yards there. Actually, even on those train stations, not a lot of people know how to use them because they were constructed years and years ago. And back then, that was one of the main methods of transportation. People knew how to operate there. If you go to the Central Station in Los Angeles or New York today, for example, I'm pretty sure in Canada is pretty much the same thing. You will find yourself in a huge building with a bunch of exits and entrances, people walking in all directions at the same time. If you're almost late for your train, you need a way to get there as fast as possible. So again, that's part of the customer experience that adds this premium feel to your experience with the company. That could be facilitated through the personalized AI assistant. Those little touches, based on our experience with other companies that we work with, add to this thing that's called adoption and retention. That's exactly what most companies need to strive to fix today. If they don't fix that in the next 5 years, they're gone. Because if customers will have choices, and they will have choices, they will go somewhere else where those experiences will be standard. We're talking about 15, 19-year-olds. Those people will not tolerate mediocrity or old school. There's no old school for them. It's just inefficient.
It makes me think about, like, let's say, for instance, a young 18-year-old who is traveling from, hypothetically, from Toronto to Vancouver. They're doing that coast to coast or cross country ride. And, there might be stop-offs along the way. And let's say one of the platforms, there's a delay and they need to be rerouted to another platform. If there was an AI assistant or an AI feedback loop from the, delayed notification system, therefore they could receive that in real time. But then also, if they didn't know how to move to the next platform, the AI assistant could guide them in that direction. So just making it a seamless and less of a frustration to get back on track with your itinerary and your journey.
This thing that Uber added a couple of years ago, when you could share your itinerary before you get in the car with your family, for example, and you have like this family cluster in the app,
Yeah.
that was huge for them. That was a huge retention factor. And we call it network effect. Network effect is when you cannot allow yourself to delete the app because you've accumulated so much value inside, like points or previous trips, history. Even if there's a better alternative, you can't just leave that app. You have to stay. This AI assistant could be a family AI assistant, basically. If you're a 15-year-old, maybe taking a train from school or somewhere else, and you have a boyfriend or your parents are waiting for you somewhere and there's a delay or some kind of status change, all that needs to be reflected and be part of this mobile experience, notifying everyone and talking to everyone in the natural language. There are a lot of little things in the experience of customers dealing with the company that are overlooked today, but they actually make a huge difference in the end. I'm not sure how important it is for VRL Canada to compete with other companies because it seems like they are the monopoly. But I think they're competing with cars, and they probably are competing with other means of transportation like planes.
Then if you look into the back end where they, you need to follow various safety protocols and procedures just to be in order, just in order to be in compliance, it's extensive. So not only from a front end perspective with the customer facing side, but also from the back end, the tools that AI can provide in freeing up resources that, key workers and key employees can focus on their
Yeah.
priorities a lot more in terms of definitive schedules for maintenance, damage control, servicing of the trains, implementing new trains, building new tracks. There's got to be thousands and thousands of employees out in the field. I'm sure it's a very labor intensive operation that they're running there. So from the back end as well, just freeing up space for key roles and key employees just to focus on their priorities. I think from a well-rounded perspective, both front end and back end, I think the tools would be revolutionary for the business.